Hey, thought I'd do a little quick overview and gameplay for M.A.S.S Builder. I've had this game basically since it came out, but it launched in what you could definitely call early access. They had like barely any content. The game was basically a third-person shooter with the option to play melee, but it wasn't actually fun to do so. Major update 0.30 just dropped earlier this morning. If you look in my Steam community or YouTube community posts, you know why I'm getting to this late. I won't get into it here, but thought I'd show just how cool this game is. So if you played Gundam Breaker 3, this game is very similar to it in terms of the design. However, you have a lot more freedom over the way that your mech looks in this compared to Gundam Breaker. Gundam Breaker 3 definitely tried to make it so you could have more freedom with the parts that you put on your Gundam via the option equipment, but there are also certain parts or option equipment that you could only get by equipping that corresponding body part on your Gundam. Here, everything is basically cosmetic. There is a weight system. I'm not exactly sure how the weight system works, but everyone said it's pretty marginal. They really want you to make the coolest, mech that you can think of after you do the grinding, of course, and not have to worry about, does this piece not have something that's worthwhile for my build. That's definitely something that's kind of in Gundam Breaker 3, not as much as other mech games, but before I quit playing that game, before the frame rate made me sick, is I had to put the Gundam Age Titus arms on my Gundam because that was the only one that had the command grab. You could not learn that innately. You had to just always have it on. Here, that's not an issue at all, so you do have to grind for the corresponding piece. Like, see, I have all the necks but one. And you can customize the paint and stuff. I'm not too good at that yet. I kind of focusing on combat effectiveness right now, but after I get a couple more runs worth of credits, I should be able to craft the Gundam that I actually want. Not Gundam, M.A.S.S. Sorry, copyright infringement. So there's a very large, I guess you could call it a passive tree. There are some actives in here, but they're mostly just active modes. You don't learn any moves from doing this besides the heavy combos. Which is something I'll get into, but I also don't fully understand myself. So if you're wondering why a lot of this stuff is not filled out, basically they're trying to prevent the player from getting too powerful before the game is actually done. Right now, only the first chapter is done, and they just added the first level of Chapter 2, so I assume maybe in a couple updates they'll open a lot of this stuff up. Someone said I guess they use Cheat Engine to unlock all this stuff, and right now the game's just not really designed with you having that stuff in mind, I guess, which is why they have it locked, even though a lot of this is mostly just passive bonuses. So there's engine development. So I have this one for melee. Like, see, if I try to go up to a level 4 and above, it won't let me. They added some new stuff over here too. This is for extended combos and empowered combos. Unfortunately, this game does not explain any of the new features at all. I kind of understand how it works. I'll definitely get back to you guys when I understand it, but I guess they just kind of forgot to teach people how to use this stuff. It kind of feels like Dynasty Warriors, but not quite. So I'm running the melee tree. The melee combat in this was not very good before. I think it's in a pretty good state right now, but I don't fully understand how it works because they don't tell you anything. Alright, so let's do a quick level. Also, I should show the weapons too before I get into things here. So they added dual wielding in this recent update. So I've got martial arts, of course. I've got dual katanas, and then this spear thing. So the way this works is you choose a grip, which is how you hold it, and then you choose an assaulter, which is like the actual weapon. So there's a bunch in here I have unlocked. I have martial arts, I have katanas. A lot of these I don't have the credits to unlock right now, but you can basically make the weapon look however you want to, which I think is pretty cool. Don't know if you can actually equip the shield. I don't know if you can equip the shield and the dual weapons. I'm not sure. Let's find out. This game is not too popular right now. It has a very nice, welcoming, and committed community, but the problem is there's just like not that many people playing it. It launched in very, very early access. A lot of people are actually recommending this over Daemon X Machina because this has more customization. I was kind of eyeballing Daemon X Machina when they announced that it was coming to PC because I hear the frame rate was bad on the Switch version, but that game is nothing like this in Gundam Breaker 3, where you have a lot of control over whether you want to play ranged or melee or run some kind of hybrid. You can't really do that in that game, so a lot of people have been recommending this actually, which is kind of heartwarming because this game is made by like 5 people. They also update every week too. They update every Saturday and they let you know what it is they're working on. So they've been updating for like a couple months regarding what they're adding in this big update. So if you played Gundam Breaker, very similar. You have a light attack, normal attack, and other things as well. Also a missile launcher. Missile launcher is very useful to have, even if you don't have any kind of ranged build, because it's basically more crowd control. So the combat before was basically just mashing the button. There was no variety at all. You know how people say, Muso games are just mashing the square button? That's literally what this game was before. They got a lot of complaints about it. It took them a while to fix it. But I don't fully understand the system, but it definitely does feel better than it did before. So in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the interface. If you've ever played pretty much any first-person shooter, modern one, then basically a similar system. You have health and you have your shield. Also, you can switch between weapons. Movesets, they don't look too impressive. They're not like character action game level. Gundam Breaker 3, a lot of people consider that to be one of the best like mecha games in general. movesets in that are not really impressive. It's mostly the way that you can combine them with the option equipment and kind of make your own playstyle. But the actual weapons themselves, the movesets, are not really too deep. Alright, let's go ahead and try this standard Dynasty Warrior system. These guys are your worst nightmare as a melee character. they will just melt your health bar. Okay, so I see how this works now. I'm gonna take out this dude first. These guys keep coming back. They're really annoying. So we can pick up all the stuff, and then I'll show how this... I actually just figured it out on the fly. And then I'll get to the quantum break mechanic. So here's your normal S string. 4 attacks, and I have like I have a passive that causes an explosion at the end of the S string. So, you know, if I push the extended combo button there, which I have set to triangle, pretty much Muso style, what I have to do after that point is I branch back into the S string, and that gives you the extended one. Like that. Got a little bit of a clone moveset thing going on here. I'm sure they'll expand the move later. And then if I do the extended combo, the powered combo, it gives me that. So here's the knuckle one. It's kind of similar to One Piece, actually, how you go from, like, light attack to the hard, and then you go back to light. But you don't have as much variety as you would in that game, obviously. Okay, so let's try some of the quantum break modes that I got. Let's go. while explaining all the mechanics and actually figuring out how some of them work in the fly. So one of the biggest complaints people have with the quantum brake mechanic is that you cannot charge it up fast. The charge up is like Dragon Ball powering up, you know, Planet Namek going to explode in 5-minute tier. Like, you pretty much have to pop it before a boss fight. Doing it in the middle of a Mook fight is basically impossible. You will die doing it. There's been a lot of people asking about that, telling them to fix it, so hopefully they will. I like how they just gave a lot of love to the melee part of the game, and they kind of added a little bit more variety to it. But unfortunately, the quantum brake, which is one of the coolest things they added, is just it's not practical to use right now. I don't know if there's anything else I really need to get. I kind of already have all the stuff for the way I'm playing and all the content that's currently in the game. Guess I could do some fashion. Yeah, why don't I show how the fashion stuff works? I want to equip some of these other modes too. I think you have to equip them here. Yeah, you do. Alright, so I'm a fire martial artist. Actually, kind of just like a Dante type thing, where you just switch around a lot. So one of the problems with this system is we only have tech level 3, which means that you can only equip 3 things, you only have 3 slots. So you really have to think about it now, but when they start opening up the later ranks, it probably won't be as much of an issue. Alright, let's go ahead and do some fashion. See if I can get some cool weapons too. Okay, so let's try to make something else here. Twin grip. Check this out. Okay, so now I need to change the assaulter. Oh, that looks pretty awesome. Wow, I dig that. Alright, so let's change the property to fire. Put this on. Okay, so now I've got martial arts, I've got twin katanas, and then this. Okay, so let's paint it. I have no clue how to do this. I'll figure it out later. Alright. Let's work on the actual M.A.S.S look too. Pimp him out a little bit. I probably should have done some grinding before, but the melee combat just wasn't very interesting, so unfortunately I didn't really feel like it. That's fine. I mean, this game is made by a small team. They definitely update the game in pretty small increments. So it's not really a big deal. I imagine the people who did a lot of grinding probably got bored of the game. Really frothing at the mouth for more content, which is totally fine. This is a really good game. It's just got a long way to go. Can't actually make a full set yet because I don't have them all. Alright, got a little cash for fashion left still. Let's see if I can find something else I would like. One thing that's kind of a bummer about this game is you can't see what stuff looks like until you actually buy it. So once you craft it, you can see, but before then you can't. That looks a little bit more fitting for martial artist kind of melee guy. Alright, he's looking a little less like a generic Mook. It actually looks pretty cool right now. I just need to do the paint and everything. That looks pretty awesome right there. Kind of like a fire robot type thing. Alright, well, let's leave them like that for now. I'll pimp out the rest of the colors later. I don't want to make the video too long. I definitely have not had the easiest day. What I'll be doing with this from now on is I'll probably be trying a lot of the movesets. It's kind of got a little bit of a Dynasty Warriors clone moveset kind of thing right now. It seems like a lot of the dual wields have the same types of moves. I assume they'll expand on them later. There's actually a lot of moves you can't control directly. They kind of have like a context-sensitive combat system in this, like some of the flying, like that flying monster that puts the fire on the ground. Like if you're directly below it, the M.A.S.S will kind of go up and do like an uppercut type thing. A lot of people have been asking for some kind of like control to either actually like learn those moves and or just have access to them at all times. Right now, I think the melee combat's actually quite good. I think they could go with adding a bit more moves, but it's kind of a slippery slope because they let you customize like literally everything in this game. So I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I have tested out a number of the dual wields, and it just doesn't seem like you can really get a lot of variety with them. The melee combat's much better than the way it was before. I think the next thing they need to add is like maybe more interesting hit stun, maybe have like juggles or something. And I think it would be pretty on par with Gundam Breaker 3. Gundam Breaker 3 is very simple movesets too. Uh, I thought the game looked super complex when I was watching videos for that game before I bought it last year, and it turns out a lot of the complexity in that game comes from the option equipment and whatever you have equipped on your actual Gundam that gives you access to more option equipment that you can't just buy. Here, it's mostly just the whatever weapon you have and how good the extended combos are, but a lot of them are kind of the same. So actually, let's, before I go here, I'm not going to do the whole map, but let's try the double-edged sword.
Mission start.
Yep, cloned. It's definitely a big improvement now over the way it was before, where you basically just had one S string. Basically, you had one S string at the start, and then they added the context-sensitive attacks ahead of this major update. I guess because they realized you couldn't really play the game melee at all. It was very impractical. And then with this one, they kind of just added their own kind of charge attack system, but not quite. It's kind of like you go from light to heavy to light, and when you do that, kind of determines what attack you get. But you really only have two modifiers, but they seem like they're pretty practical. They're actually pretty good for crowd control. The empowered one is the one you want to use probably on bosses because it will proc whatever you have set at the end of your S string. I think this game has a lot of promise. I think it's better than Gundam Breaker 3 in a lot of ways. For starters, it actually has a frame rate that's acceptable for an action game, meaning it doesn't run at 20 FPS. It doesn't make me throw up, for one thing. The game looks quite nice. The monster designs are definitely a little bit on the generic side. They said that's something that they'll be working on in time. I can't recommend the game enough. I mean, if you're okay with it being in early access, there's still a lot of fun things to do. They added even more things to grind for in this last update. You can also have a lot of fun with fashion too. The game is kind of like a hunting game. Like you have to get the parts from clearing the respective levels. So it kind of has that going for it too. You can't just clear it once and get everything. I'm definitely excited to see where they'll take this. I do think things like the melee system needs a little bit more variety. There need to be less clone moves and the quantum break, which is supposed to be like your big badass buff mode for being a melee only character. It takes like 10 years to charge. So, once they fix those things, I'll probably play this more. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in the game, go ahead and check my link in the description. I will give you a link there. Thanks for watching.